sure that you're prepared, and you can be denied entry. And not just, you could maybe leave this country, but when you get to immigration on the other side, they don't have to let you in. So just be prepared. I do want to discuss what situations can invalidate your US passport or prevent a US citizen from traveling outside of the US. And so I think this is another topic that many people don't realize. We all know, right, that the expiration date is definitely key and paramount. But a lot of us don't know that your passport, you could have 5 more years on your passport, but if you have 2 pages or less than 2 pages blank in your passport, many countries will not let you in. So basically, I want everyone to, if their passport's not up for renewal, great. Look in your passport and make sure you have more than 2 pages. I mean, if most people, the average person has, more than 2 pages unless you just travel, frequently. But make sure you have, I would say, no less than 3 to 4 pages, because depending on the immigration officer you get, they could say it's 2, even though you could have 2 and they could say, no, you needed 3. So just make sure that you have enough blank pages on your passport. Also make sure, well, we already talked about it, even though we talked about renewing now, even if it expires within a year, that's simply because some countries will simply not let you in if your passport expires within 6 months. And this is the crazy thing. Each country is different. So one country may say, oh, it's 6 months from the time you entered the country. And other countries will say, oh, no, it has to be 6 months from the time you're scheduled to leave the country. And it's at their discretion. And what are you going to do? So that's why I want you to make sure you play by the rules, stack the odds in your favor, and so you won't have, any problems. We talked about expiration. We talked about not having at least 6 months. We talked about not enough pages. The literal quote is, some countries require at least 1 or 2 blank pages in your passport for entry stamps. That could change. A country could change that tomorrow and you won't know. It could be 3 or 4. Just make sure that you're prepared, and you can be denied entry. And not just, you could maybe leave this country, but when you get to immigration on the other side, they don't have to let you in. So just be prepared. If all pages in your passport have been used up with either visas, entry stamps, or whatever, the passport is considered full and may be invalid for further travel. And that just goes into the not enough pages to travel. Another thing we have to be conscious of, and I want you to, this is what Kim with the Gems wants you to do. If you have any questions about the state of your passport, if you have any questions about the number of pages, if you have any questions about the expiration date, also check to see if there's any damages. If there's any ripped pages, any physical damages on the passport can invalidate your passport. So we're talking about tears. We're talking about water damage. We're talking about if your little fur baby got to it and put teeth marks in it, that can be invalidated. And if there's any missing pages, so if something was ripped out by accident, that can invalidate your passport. So you do not want to give people the reason to deny you entry or deny this as being a sufficient form of identification. So it's really a 2-pronged approach, right? We're not even talking about moving abroad here. We're talking about having the ability to travel the world, and also the ability to use this document as sufficient identification that we are US citizens, or we belong in this country, so to speak. Also, if the passport has been altered in any way, so you can't mark up, there should be no, I don't care if your little baby got to it or your toddler and started taking a crayon and drawing in it, that invalidates your passport. Also, I heard this recently, if you know, some people when they travel, there's places where you could get fake stamps in your passport, like it's not from an official immigration officer, but they may have a like I call it like tchotchke stores where you get souvenirs and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, we'll stamp your passport, and people will pay to get that done. Don't do that. That invalidates your passport. If it's not an official immigration stamp, then it's considered fraudulent, and it can invalidate your passport. So yeah, so if it's a damaged passport in any way, shape, form, or fashion, go ahead and get that replaced. If you have the means to do so, get it replaced. And then some people have expired visas from a destination or country. Um, Basically, if you overstayed in a country or whatever, you may face issues in the US when you try to re-enter, and it may not invalidate your passport, but you may have problems. So just pay attention. Like if you do leave the country, or if you have overstayed in a country and didn't follow the rules, that could be problematic. And there's also things that you can have challenges with if you do not research, right? So if you reported your passport lost or stolen, or if you did not report your passport lost or stolen, let's start with that first. If you travel with a lost or stolen passport that has been reported, it's illegal and it may result in arrest or detention. So let's just say you said your passport was lost or stolen. You find your passport. If you did not get another passport, that could be problematic. And once you report it lost or stolen, it's automatically an invalidation. You automatically invalidate the current passport and will be denied departure or entry. If there's any discrepancies, if there's any information that doesn't match with your tickets and all of that, it can be invalidated while you're trying to travel. So just be careful. If you've had a name change, all that good. If you got married, you need to update your passport. If you've changed your information on all other forms of documents, and if you travel under a new name, your passport has to match that. Check your passports. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share these gems with a loved one, a friend, a family member to make sure that they have a valid passport. Thanks for watching.